Welcome, Rebecca Van Laer. What an amazing, I want to say little book, but that diminishes it somehow, but it's so little. It's the most beautiful little book. I love it. It's called Cat. That's the whole thing, Rebecca Van Laer. So this arrives on my doorstep. Object lessons, it says at the top, and I don't know if that has anything to do with your book or with Bloomsbury Press. Oh my God, Milton's Tale is in the
Yeah.
middle of the screen. And you have a lot of writing in this book about obviously the cats in your life, but also the cats on your computer. So anybody wondering, oh my God, that was a technical problem. Yes and no, it was Milton's Tale. You have a doctorate from Brown. That's rather grandiose because you have
Oh,
don't you think? You could have gone to
well,
Iowa and gone to the middle of nowhere and gotten one of those degrees in writing, but you stayed on the East Coast, which I personally think was probably a good idea. So
I
why?
applied to many schools.
Oh, you
So
did.
I
Oh,
did. Yes,
well, I doubt that Brown was your like fallback.
I only got into two. So it was a
You know
stroke of
what?
luck.
Yeah, you call it luck. It's definitely talent. This book was obviously percolating in you for a lifetime. You make that very clear in the book. It was percolating in you for a lifetime because cats have been your lifeline and kind of the through note of your young life and then of your young adult life and then of your grown-up life, such as it is. You still have lots of grown-up life and many cats ahead of you, obviously. I hope
Yes,
you should have. When you wrote so you had written a previous novel or novella, How to
a
Adjust.
novella. Yes, I'm a specialist in little short books. How to Adjust to the Dark is
Oh,
the name of that.
many of us are so grateful for short books. It's like you get these big, fat, heavy things, and you think, no wonder people liked Kindle. It's so big and heavy, and my hand hurts, but also your brain hurts. This book, I must say, when I was trying to choose something to ask you to read during our conversation, I thought, oh, yeah, that'd be good. Oh, no, that'd be great. Oh, how about that? Oh, never mind. Just read the whole book. Honestly, for cat people or animal human relationship bond people, they're just one juicy little fruit on the tree after another. Did you discard a lot before you wrote it? Hello, Milton,
I
again.
did not. Yes, Milton is very present in this call. I did not discard a lot. I started out, I had a lot of writing that I did in the wake of the loss of one of our cats. And I sat in a Scrivener file for a long time. And then I wrote a short story and then I pitched a book. And pretty much all of the writing that I did, maybe a few sentences here and there got cut, but pretty much all of the writing that I did about cats made it into the book. And yeah, this was the right length for it. This was the amount that I had to say about cats. I feel like now I actually am starting to have a little bit more in me. But so maybe one or two follow-up essays,
That's
but
wonderful. That's wonderful. So this is the whole spilling out of all of your philosophy about cats. It's a very philosophical book. It's a contemplative book. It's a book in which you can see if you could scratch your beard and smoke a pipe and you'd think, here's all the things that I've thought about and felt about cats and wondered about and been perplexed by. Because cats, although you've lived alongside them since you were just wee, very tiny, like your first memory is a cat, right? A cat dropping dead.
it is one of my, it is a first memory that may or may not be true. I have one that everyone can confirm of being in the hospital after my little brother's birth, but whether or not I was really in the room with our cat, Anastasia, when she died, no one else is sure of. So it's one of those memories that may be real, may not be real. But the fact that I think I remember it at all speaks to how important they've been in my
Yes.
life, I think.
And also the amount of loss you experienced around cats because you had this kind of, I don't know, is chaos the wrong or right word? You had a chaotic, it seems to me, family life where the parents were like flying all over the place, physically moving you around, happy, unhappy with each other, not noticing you and your siblings all the time, how you were feeling, what would be good for children. And when you said to your father, reminds me of my father, I'd ask him a question. I don't know. How would I know? Something about my childhood or my dead mother. I don't know. How would I know? And your father was like that. You said, did the cat die in my arms? He said, I don't know. How would I know? I'm sure, I think you did have that happen. And it was one of the early traumas. And somehow the trauma was, I'm imagining this, that no one acknowledged it. You were this little girl who related to animals, particularly cats. You didn't do well in these constantly changing situations you were thrust into. Our cats
Yeah,
grounded you, made you feel safe?
yeah, I think chaos is a fair word for it. And having these animal companions in my childhood was a source of great comfort and also friendship for children moving around a lot,
Yes.
having transitions, being shy and introverted and
Yeah.
strange can make friendship difficult. But cats were something that I could rely on throughout those years.
You really think you were strange? No, seriously, I'm asking you this because in reading the book, I think it makes us all think, oh, maybe I was, at least me, maybe I was strange too. Was I introverted but acting extroverted? Because you're so honest in the book and you describe what it's like to be a young person with animals. Were you really strange? I don't
I
think,
think
I'm guessing you weren't really, is what I'm thinking.
I think I was just so shy that that other children wondered what was wrong with me.
Oh, I see.
So, and is it so strange to be shy as a child? No, but how the people around you, including the adults, reflect that back to you can vary so much. So it can make you feel strange. Whereas I think I know some parents of shy children today who have a whole different relationship to it,
Oh,
kind
parents.
and gentle about it. Things
Yes.
have changed.
Well, parents are like all tuned in now. They're tuned
Yes.
up, they're tuned in. Oh, how the kid feels and behaves is how they feel and behave. So we're just going to support that and be there for them. That wasn't like that. You're way younger than me, but a lot of our childhoods were like, just get over it, get over yourself.
Yeah.
Come out from behind my apron strings and shake the nice man's hand, even if it's big and hairy and sweaty. And you're like, eh. But the cats, you could just love them so much, and they were just all over you. They've been all over you
Yeah.
your whole life, haven't they? Smothering you in a good
Yeah.
way.
It's smothering in a good way. Yes, I have pictures of myself as a child with three cats on me. And every once in a while, as an adult, I have up to two cats on me because we have two cats. So it's a pretty good feeling to this day.
What about all the cat death? That's an interesting historical part of the document, if you will, that people today with cats that are always indoors and everyone's more hyper vigilant about their cats. Oh, there are European countries where it's illegal to keep your cat only inside. Illegal, immoral, unkind, cruel. But in America, we believe because of, well, look at Rebecca Van Laer's cats. They were killed a fair amount or killed each other, not spayed and neutered, and found eviscerated on the lawn. That death seems to have left a stain on you.
Yeah, I think it definitely left a mark in multiple ways. One was just having a childhood experience of violent loss, which
Yes,
not every child necessarily experiences. And the other was that loss was somewhat normalized, that my parents tried to tell us that this is what happens to animals. And I think that's actually something that I ended up grappling with quite a bit in the book, the idea that violent animal death is inevitable or normalized to a certain extent, especially in regards to cats. There's so much of the human history of cats that involves doing that intentionally. And
yes,
today they're much more likely to experience neglect as a result of that kind of historical and embedded hatred. So, where my cats lead very sheltered lives, we a couple of winters ago found a cat on our street who'd been, quote, kicked out of a nearby home because he had fleas and ended up fostering this cat while he was in a quarantine period and working with an animal rescue. So I think that this persists a little bit more than we would
yes.
like, both in regards to domesticated cats, but also the feral cat population. Yeah, left a mark on me and I think set the stage for this to be something that I would engage with in my writing.
And something that other people reading it they haven't had as many cats as you, even the most loving cat people. You've had a lot, like you've lost count at some point. You know all their names,
Yeah.
a variety of names. And then, of course, the ones who weren't spayed and neutered, and they would have a variety of kittens. And it just seems like your house was bursting at the seams with cats and kittens. And the adults were like benign neglect. And I don't know, were they that way with you too? I just was thinking of Running with Scissors, that book where just the adults weren't really tightly wet. They weren't. completely screwed together. So the kids just had to fend for themselves.
I was talking to my dad about all of these cats and reminding him of some of their names. Oy vey, Eureka, Caramba, and Gadzooks were one litter of kittens. And he called my stepmom over and was like, Neil, you have to hear these names. But he'd forgotten them a little bit. His explanation for that is that he was so jet lagged in those years as a businessman who was flying to China constantly, and that he actually lost, he would say, decades of his life to jet lag. And so the way that affected him as well as the household as a whole, I think is part of what's going on. We also lived in rural Georgia. My house now, if there were 7 indoor outdoor cats, oh no, people couldn't even come in here because of the smell. That big suburban house in Georgia, it just somehow seemed normal at the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Southern
Even
gossip.
though in retrospect, yeah, so yeah, in retrospect, it's definitely a Southern gossip.
But you weren't Southern. And in fact, the fact that you talked funny, or they talked
Yes.
funny in your ears and you talked funny in their ears, that's enough to make you shy. So you were strange because y'all didn't talk like that. So that itself had to be like, I'll just stick with the cats because they're fine with me talking the way they're used to.
Yeah, I have a very formative memory of going to second grade for the first day and this girl asking me, "Are you can to candle?" And I just had no idea what that meant. And I had to ask so many times to get to the bottom of what the word kin meant, which I was unfamiliar with. So yeah, I think I learned to be quiet and just stick with the creatures who I understood a little better.
I'd love to see a little tiny book from you about that little girl, that little non-Southern girl, you, as a novel who went or a novella because you're not a believer in oversized books. Everything should be petite. But the idea of the way you and these animals interacted, it's, I don't know, I think it's a really magical thing that even though for you it was burdensome in the life you were leading, which had so many unexplained things, not just Southern dialogue or dialect, but why things happened. And I think Winston just walked right in front of the screen,
Yeah, his
black
whole
nose
tail
with
covered
his
up the
whole self.
camera.
It's adorable. It's so cat-like. You have a section in the book about, I think you best read the section we pulled apart, pulled aside for you to read, to just give people an idea. If you love cats, which I'm guessing you do if you're listening to this show, it's Rebecca's love for cats and understanding of them and willingness to say she doesn't understand them. I think it's really informative for the rest of us. It just lights a little fire in your heart and soul to think, yeah, I have no idea really about this creature sharing my life, but I wish I knew more.
Are
So,
we starting on page 12 or on page
yes, ma'am.
46?
We're starting
12.
on 12.
I do often wish I were a cat. I would prefer never to give explanations for anything, to cry and whine and hide and purr and have all of it accepted and acceptable. To curl up in bed, up into myself, and never have to be friendly to new people again. To never be disciplined, either by a boss or by the cop, the German Shepherd, inside my head, always telling me I am not enough. I lie down and put my head against Gus's stomach. He allows this. The top of the head is his favorite part of the human body, and he begins to purr. Then, I feel like I cannot have done everything wrong. Neither I nor life can be so terrible if I have this cat. I ask these questions again and again. Who is a little fluffernutter? Who is a sweetheart? Who is a funky monkey? Who is a perfect angel? Who is a naughty angel? Who is my baby? Who is the love of my life? The months after our move upstate are dark, snowy, dark. Everything feels fragile, tenuous. We all need time to adjust. The cats succeed, as they always do. Soon they are running up the staircase at 9 p.m., Gus trilling to let us know it is time for bed. In late winter, I try to grow seedlings. It goes well until they are nearly strong enough to stand up to the elements. Thick stems, respectable leaves that begin to press against the lid of their tray. When I take it off, the massacre begins. In one fell swoop, Gus leaps up and chews the okra, plus the cucumbers. As he dismounts, he knocks over the remaining seedlings and an orchid, its pot shattering on the floor. Soil and bark are everywhere. I never get mad at Gus. Toby is a different matter. Our fights are personal. He stands in front of my computer screen for hours at a time, gradually knocking off any object he can find: a pair of headphones, a pad of sticky notes, a pen. He has a will to dominate. I go down and check his bowl, and there is always food in it. I bring it up to my office, and he eats with his paws, picking up handfuls of meat and licking at them, making a mess in the process. Then he resumes his position in front of the screen, beginning to yowl. I am close to madness. Stephen and I fight too. Of course we fight. What is partnership but a version of this? Knocking something off the other person's desk forever and ever. We fight and I cry and I throw myself on the floor down to the level of the cats. But they do not like to be around me in that state. They run upstairs. Why can't we just be happy? I ask Stephen. Humans aren't made to be happy, he tells me. That's why we have cats.
Ah, it's so great. Who doesn't love that? It's just so wonderful. It just encapsulates everything, your human relationships, your cat relationships. It's fabulous. Just to go back a minute, your doctorate at Brown was or wasn't about, but you did study feminist and queer autobiography. So
Yes, yeah, that my
I thought
dissertation was
I
about.
thought I'm going to be interviewing a queer feminist person, and I better be politically correct. And then it was Stephen, so you have what I consider a more conventional, I don't have to be on my guard and be careful of pronouns kind of thing. So why was that? Why was that of interest to you? Because it doesn't particularly come up in this book as being something that was a through line of intellectual interest of yours.
I definitely live a very straight appearing life, even as a bisexual person, and that's something that I'm at peace with. I consider myself a feminist, and I think that this book has maybe a subtle feminism in it, insofar
Okay.
as one thread in it is maternal choice, the
Yeah.
decision not to have kids.
Yeah,
I feel like that's actually not a topic that is in a lot of literature. And
you're
for
right.
me, that is something that ended up being really tied to my love for and understanding of cats. So I'm not making it maybe an explicit argument, but I hope that readers who might be grappling with those questions, whatever their decisions are, enjoy seeing the non-fictional representation of someone who chose to be a cat lady, which can be a little bit of a slur, but it's something that also so many people are embracing now.
But you also write at one point, because language matters to you a great deal. You're very thoughtful about it, and you make us aware of how words are used, of the way that people are referred to as cat parents, or that a cat is referred to as a baby. And I love that you call that out because it bugs me too. And that you said you got the kind of heebie-jeebies, that wasn't your word, when someone refers to you as your cat's mom. It creeps me out too. I used to have a horse trainer who did it about my horse who weighed, I don't know, 1,400 pounds. And she'd say, "Your son was fabulous today." I'm thinking, are you drunk? Who do you think you're talking to? I don't have children. She was talking about a gigantic show horse. And she really, I guess some people do that. But where cats are concerned, you're a cat lady, you're not a cat mom.
Yeah. And this is actually something where that queer feminist scholarship plays a role in my thinking about
Right.
it. Donna Haraway, who wrote the Companion Species Manifesto, it really says that it's disadvantageous to both dogs and kids to say that you're like a dog mom or a dog parent, because it
Oh,
dehumanizes children, but it also trains us to expect things from our pets that they can't deliver to us, including the kind of unconditional love and familial bond that you expect with your young child. So she says that it's kind of harmful on both sides. I don't need to make my own argument about
right.
harm. I just cats are very autonomous, independent beings. They are absolutely different than human infants and require a completely different way of being and relating to them. And realizing that's how I like to be and relate to people, where I'm not like
Yes.
As we were talking about, being the parent who's so aware of the way that the child is. Of course, I want to be a little bit aware, or being the parent who disciplines. I just don't want to be the parent. So I
Yeah. It's
that's something I
interesting.
learned vis-a-vis cats.
Yeah. It's an interesting, as you said, it's interesting for someone else reading it going, oh, yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I don't want to be the boss of
Yeah.
them. And
Yeah.
and with dogs, the idea of dog obedience is no thanks. It just there's a whole concept around that of dominating, domineering, which a lot of dog training has gone away from that, but that was the through line of dog training. And when people talk about cat training, it's tricks. It's teaching a cat tricks as long as the cat's willing to go along with it. That's what cat training is.
Yes, even as dog training has shifted to a more positive reinforcement and rewards-based system, it's
Yes. Yeah.
still you have to train your dog for them to live safely in the world, whereas your cat just lives in your house.
Owns your house, owns you.
Yeah.
Gets to walk
Yes.
right in front of your computer monitor while you're doing an interview.
Knocked off 3 books, chewed some sticky notes, all in a day's work.
Wow. And so did Gus in the book. The names of many of these cats, by the way, Oy vey was not one cat, it was two cats,
Two
which was the funniest part of that particular litter. All these names were like, whoa, they're just great. So your parents were very playful, at least in a verbal sense. I think there's,
My dad is an artist. He's very creative and playful. So, that doesn't get a lot of airtime in the book. It's a short book.
and it's not about dads, it's about
No.
cats.
Yes.
So, being in the country in the Hudson Valley, is it a valley? I don't know. It's Hudson, New York. It's
It's the
called a
Hudson
valley.
Valley,
No.
Kingston, New York, in the Hudson Valley. Yeah.
So, is that different from where you lived before? Were you urban?
I've mostly lived since that stint in Georgia. I've mostly lived more. I went to college in Ithaca, but as an adult, Providence, New Orleans, Brooklyn, then the Hudson Valley. So this is definitely different than those other
Right.
three places. They're much cities with lots of people, and
And
yeah,
cats,
but
and cats indoors only.
in Brooklyn, I would absolutely see cats come up to the back window of my apartment, and I was worried for those cats. Oh, in New Orleans, it's a big outdoor cat city. You'd be, and in Providence, there were cats in our backyard a lot of the time. One of whom lived with us for some time now. He lives with my dad actually, and some of
Wow.
whom we helped find homes and shelters. So even in these urban areas, there is this pervasive cultural idea, as you said, Europeans all think this, that it's
Right.
more natural to have cats outside, which is like natural for what? It's
Not good for the birds and
not
not
good
good
for the
for the
birds.
cats
No, not good for their lifespan. So yes, cats
or quality of
is
life. They're
yeah,
hungry.
cats lived outdoors for millennia, but so did we.
Yes, you're so right. They weren't by our fireside when we were cave people, but they were near the tombs, or where
Yeah,
people lived in Egypt before there were tombs, of course. The people
yep.
weren't yet entombed. There were cats living all around them. And then
There's
when
cats
they,
in the tombs too. There's
yes,
a lot of
and
cats
then
in the
once they
tombs
got in the
too.
tomb, they were with them, either as a mummy or as a figurine, or but now we all live more so with the shelter. When we can, we'd like to be sheltered, like
And
warm and dry.
I think the same is true for cats.
I do too. I think that what you've done in this book, Rebecca, is really original, really special. I did talk to my partner in cat books, Jennifer Mowdy at the Literary Cat Company in Kansas, and she has a copy of your book in her store. I would like anybody listening who wants to buy cat, please don't go to Amazon. If you have a brick and mortar bookstore near you, wow, that's amazing. Then you can go to your own bookstore. But if you don't, please, please get in touch with the Literary Cat Company and Cat Cafe. She loves this book and she's going to order more of them for anybody who orders one. I think it's a gorgeous book and I think it's something you could read yourself and then give to somebody else, but that's the last thing an author wants to hear. Get a book for
Well,
copy for yourself, and then you get copies for your cat loving friends. It's beautiful. It's a little work of art. It's precious. It's wonderful. Thank you for writing it. Thank you for being so thoughtful. and helping us all be more thoughtful about our cats and our relationships to them. It's great. I really like it. Thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you, Tracy.
Take care.